election winner in the DRC, Felix Tshisekedi, has paid respects to outgoing President Joseph Kabila. He described him as a partner in democratic change. Speaking in the capital, Kinshasa, Tshisekedi said he would be the president of all Congolese. Tshisekedi had not been widely considered the leading candidate and is relatively untested. He is the son of late opposition leader Etienne, who pursued the presidency for many years. He surprised many last year by breaking away from an opposition effort to unite behind a single candidate. Some observers have suggested that President Joseph Kabila's government sought to make a deal as hopes faded for a win for ruling party candidate Emmanuel Ramazani Shadary. If Tshisekedi's victory is confirmed in the next 10 days by the Constitutional Court, he will become the first leader to take power at the ballot box since Prime Minister Patrice Lumumba, who was toppled in a coup less than 3 months after independence in 1960.
First of all, I wish to thank God, the master of time and circumstances, who allowed for such an event which a few weeks ago was still unimaginable. That is why I follow it directly with, and I know many of you find it hard to accept, but I say it with sincerity. I pay homage to President Kabila, President of the Republic. We must no longer consider each other as adversaries, but rather as partners in democratic change in our country.
And for more on this, we're joined by Yusuf Serunkuma, a political analyst. He's live for us in Kampala. Yusuf, are you surprised by this election outcome?
Yeah. I mean, like everybody else, I was surprised. I expected the surrogate candidate for the ruling party to win the election, and if not, the lead opposition candidate, Fayulu, to win this election. But, you know, that the opposition won, I think, is a big surprise, and that the ruling party is able to consider election in a short period, I think that's a big surprise. And for people watching the election on the African continent, I think this is a major precedent, especially for the region.
And despite the challenges, Yusuf, the DRC Congo has delivered an election fully funded by the government. Kabila himself has also risen up against international pressure, for instance, EU sanctions. So what does all of this say about the DRC and President Joseph Kabila?
Well, firstly, every time we focus on international sanctions, we forget the activists on the ground who have done an incredible job mounting pressure onto the ruling government and Kabila himself to stand down. I mean, he tried to manipulate the election, the constitution, and change it so that he can stand in at the time. But plenty of work was done by the Congolese to make sure he doesn't stand again. I think we need to pay attention to those people who are the active players on the ground. The EU played a part, but we need to pay so much attention to the Congolese. But also, credit to Kabila that, you know, other presidents would have chosen to stand in and meet violence against the Congolese, but he opting to stand down, I think, is a positive for him and also victory to the Congolese.
And Yusuf, Felix Tshisekedi, he is a surprise winner. What should we expect from him?
Yeah, in the immediate aftermath of the election, we do expect Tshisekedi to reach out to all the candidates who passed in the election. The good thing is that he has the blessing of the ruling party. Not the blessing necessarily, but the ruling party has been able to endorse his victory, to say we concede defeat. I think that's a positive. And now that the other members of the opposition are still reluctant to concede defeat, I think he has a job to reach out to them and say, we need to build this country afresh. I think it's a positive with their democratic credentials and have so much work to do consolidating what they've achieved so far. So he has a job of uniting the country in the immediate aftermath of the election.
He does indeed. I mean, we know the DRC has endured decades of civil strife. So what should be the key priority areas for the incoming administration?
Well, I think the first task ahead of the president-elect is to consolidate the democratic victory that has happened to the country and make sure he brings the country together, especially uniting the major opposition party, which is backed by credibly people who have been in politics in Congo for a very long time. He has that job. that the immediate thing he has to do is to unite the country and move forward. But then the second, which I think is most urgent, is the promise that he himself put on the table, ending poverty in the country. Well, not ending, but lifting many people out of poverty, because, you know, this is the richest country on the African continent in terms of minerals, but it has also staggering levels of poverty. So right now, as we move forward after the election, he has a job to do, especially making sure that many Congolese are moved out of poverty. You know, you could say that so much international interest in Congo has led many Congolese into poverty. So he has a job to do, play with the international interest, but also make sure that the country's minerals are put to the better use of the Congolese.
All right, Yusuf, thank you very much for that perspective. Yusuf Serunkuma, live for us there in Kampala.